the media creates all this hype, and it's been done now. The deal was very close to being done last window, very close. We actually tried to do the loan deal before the Algerian window closed, and that didn't work out for reasons that I can't put out in public. But then...
Hey, there's a lot you can't put out in public. Who is exciting, Algeria?
Yeah. At the age of 20, you're making a life-changing decision for you and your family. And now 60 million South Africans have the ability to weigh in on it. And this is why I say to you, I don't want to make it seem like a Basia versus Hugo and these were the things that were done wrong. No, I don't want to make it seem like that. But it was so unfortunate that AFCON had the difficulties that it had, you know?
Sigourney. I revealed your real government name.
Yes, yes.
Basia Michaels, thank you. We've been chasing you forever at Behind the Boot with Super Geno. It's an honor and a privilege that you graced our presence. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Doing?
Why are you exposing me, first of all?
Sigourney.
No, chasing me.
The people must know.
I'm proud of my name. I'm proud of my name. It's all good. It's all good.
How are you doing?
I'm all right, and you?
And congratulations.
Thank you.
Or was I not supposed to tell the people? The people must know.
They can know. I think you can't really hide it. It's there. It's there to be seen. It's part of who I am.
We'll name the baby Behind the Boot.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
I want to tap your brain into a lot of things, you know. We just come off the January transfer window. As far as I'm concerned, very boring. But maybe give it to me from an agent point of view as well. And from someone who also did arguably the biggest deal, not just this window, but a couple of windows back with Mbokazi going to the MLS. I know it was done late last year, whatever, but effectively it was a January transfer. Yeah,
sure. January as a whole, I don't necessarily think it was boring. Some of us were quite busy.
Where were the stories if you were busy?
No, my brother, you must find the stories yourself. You must find the stories yourself. January was busy. I just think that the precursor to January is the fact that clubs don't necessarily want to lose the players that they've brought in. So they put themselves in a position where they aren't forced to make the kinds of decisions that they'd be forced to make during the bigger window, which is July, August, you know? So I know for a fact I had a good number of deals on the cards. And a few of them worked out, you know, but then the others didn't. So it's just one of those things, and just take it as it comes.
Besides TLB, what deals are you talking about?
I can't tell you because they didn't work out. So I'm finishing a number of them actually as we speak for now. Then the next window,
for July.
Yeah, I've got about 3 bigger transactions.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think it's more so because the clubs that actually wanted the players that they wanted now. I can't say weren't in the position to put as much money in, but yeah, ultimately. And I think that based on the fact that the clubs that were receiving the offers were not ready to now all of a sudden look for different players, you know, because now if you lose a player, you have to replace the player, but were you ready to replace the player? That became the biggest question, especially 2 out of the 3 transactions. And then the one was just, no, the other club wanted a bit more money. And the other club was like, okay, cool, let's do it now, let's agree now, and then let's sort it out, make payments if that's what needs to happen, and then I'll have the player in the July window, so yeah.
But then we'll get to TLB in a second, but let's, you know, backtrack a little bit to the July up until, it's long, man, July to September.
Like the 21st, yeah.
That's long. Do you, as an agent, to someone in the know, in the business, prefer shorter, or this July, September is the sweet spot for you?
I honestly don't have a preference between the two because I've worked in both of them. I did the pre-COVID times where it was very short and everything was like boom, 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 boom. But then sometimes you got to a point where league games had started, right? And clubs only probably played 2 games.
Yeah.
And in those 2 games, clubs could not assess whether they wanted another midfielder, another this. And it was just like, well, we're not sure. Now that the window is longer and we start in August, early August sometimes, maybe let's say mid-August, and then there's an entire month.
Yeah.
They're about...
That's crazy for me.
Yeah, but the reality is it's good business for us, you know, because it allows us to look at it and say, some clubs didn't make decisions, right? They find themselves 5-6 games ahead now, maybe a win or 2, maybe no wins at all. And then it's like, actually, we need this, that, and the other. And then we can reinforce. And that's why it then becomes, it becomes slightly redundant in that it goes quiet in the beginning of August, and then there's just a little bit of a hype. It dies down, and 2 days before the window, all of a sudden, you're doing 6 or 7 different deals. And okay, this is it. This is something that we have to do. But it's because the window is so long, you know? I know a number of coaches have lamented the fact that the window is so long.
Yes.
Coach Steve Barker was actually one of them.
Especially, I think, the so-called smaller clubs, because they are more prone to losing their key players.
Yeah.
When you are a Stellies, to find a replacement for a Jaden Adams in 48 hours
It's difficult.
It's difficult, yeah.
Yeah. So I do know that there were those issues, but the reality is clubs willing buyer, willing seller. So clubs need money. Another club has the money, buys the player, and we move, and they make the decision to say, okay, I'm buying this player, I'm not buying this player, and that's ultimately how it goes. Fawaz was also quite a late transfer, you know. I think Sundowns had already started playing by the time we did Fawaz. Keanu was a very early transfer, you know, and that was January. But also, it was something that happened the June, July before, and then didn't work out. And then January was just a bit busy, and it was like, okay, cool, let's get it done. And I remember doing Keanu like on the last day.
Yeah.
Last year, this time, January, and that's how it worked out. So some deals you actually do the window before the actual window that you get the player done. So that's just how it goes sometimes.
Speaking of Keanu and Fawaz, I'm sure you are a hands-on manager, agent, and check on the players. I know Keanu, there was a lengthy spell where after signing, it's almost like, where no ya guy, you know? But things clicked, ended up going to the Club World Cup, starting, and he's a regular now at Mamelodi Sundowns. You can't think Sundowns back four and not think Keanu Cupido in the lineup. But Fawaz, a little bit different. How do you help the players deal with that situation? I know they've got their coaches and whatever, but you know, at the same time they speak. I would assume they speak to you as their manager, agent, who did the deal to get them to where they are at the moment.
Players are very steadfast. Yeah. They know exactly what they want, especially at that age, especially because they find themselves in that position. So I can tell you, Fawaz now had a bit of an injury mishap here and there, but he's okay now. And ultimately, you have to get in, you have to fight for your place. And once you fight for your place, you cement it, we're good to go. And that's it. There's no looking back from there, you know? So I do believe Fawaz has the ability, massive talent. So he's...
No doubt about it.
Yeah, absolutely no doubt about it. And he had to, at the time that we made the deal happen, had to leave Stellies. He'd been there for a while, you know, he'd come from Swallows. So those things had to fall in place, which they do. And ultimately, it's God's timing at the end of the day. So he's found himself at Sundowns. He's willing to fight for his position. I know he has the ability to do it, and it will all fall into place. And when it does, you know, we'll all stand here clapping for him and say, well done.
Maybe this question and the conversation is a bit delayed, but there were, for quite some time, there were Kaizer Chiefs talks with Fawaz Basadi. What happened? You know, was there an offer? Were the two clubs talking? It's just that they couldn't agree, or it was just us media speculating to no end?
Yeah, you like to speculate, man. No, but but no, there was interest from Chiefs. There was actually a formal offer from Chiefs as well, from what I know, and it just didn't meet the asking price.
Wait, Chiefs couldn't afford a Stellies player?
No, that's not it. That I don't think is what I'm saying. What I'm saying to you is, a player has a valuation according to the club that they come from. And the club that's buying the player can put down a certain amount of money, right? So Mazola is, according to Joy FC, worth 15 rand, right? And Basia FC has 10 rand and doesn't realize or doesn't want to pay 15 rand for the player because unfortunately, fortunately, sometimes it depends on the circumstances. And at that point in time, the asking price was very different, you know? So yeah, that's it.
Did he have a clause to trigger?
Nope.
So it was a straight,
it was
money,
clubs, what you want,
to club
you put,
personal terms, done deal.
Yeah, it wasn't. There was no buyout clause, but that was a decision that we had made together because it just, for us, I believe buyout clauses are very restrictive. They're great when another club wants to come there and say, here's your money, here's the buyout clause, it's triggered, go. But they aren't great when when there's actually nobody else but one club that says, this is how much we're willing to give you, you know? So it's got its pros and it's got its cons, but you just have to work it out one transaction at a time.
The player, I mean, how involved is he? Because I suppose there are situations where, and I remember not too many, but Spendrov, who's at Kaizer Chiefs at the moment, when he was at Maritzburg United back in the day, he didn't want to go to Sundowns. Maritzburg did a club-to-club agreement with Mamelodi Sundowns. And then when he was going to do personal terms, he told his agent, he said, no, I don't want to go to Sundowns. And Maritzburg had to fold and say, okay, where do you want to go? He said, I'd love to go to Pirates. And they sold him to Pirates instead.
Sure.
Is that a common thing or it's very rare? What do the players then look at in a situation like that if it presents yourself in your agency?
Players definitely determine their future, you know. There seems to be this perception that agents do deals and they conclude the deals start to finish without the player having consented to it or wanting to do it. And it was the selling club as well as the agent that have done this deal and the player has no say in it. Definitely not. You know, the truth is you hardly even find, definitely, I can tell you this, you hardly even find my signature on a club-to-club agreement. You know, they are the signatures of the buying club, the selling club, and the player. That's it. Those are the signatures that go.
The player
and the player has agreed, And at the end of the day, you can't turn around and say, player, go there because the two other clubs have no. That doesn't work like that. You know, it's up to a player to turn around and say, yes, I want to go there. They go. No, I don't want to. Then they don't go.
But it's also up to the club to say, well, you want to go there. There's no offer there. You're not going anywhere because where we want to sell you, you don't want to go there.
That's also the reality.
You end up running down your contract.
That's also the reality. You know.
And in terms of some of the highlights, in terms of the deals in that July, September space, which ones can you highlight?
My brain is fried. I can't remember.
Okay, let me remind the ones that I know that were reported. Obviously, if I was Basadi, that stand out. Kanyisa Mayo, very late that one. Low deal, getting him out of CRB. Is he gonna go back? By the way.
Oh, that's. I mean, it's a loan deal now, so that's yet to be determined.
Okay.
You know, let's see what happens. There's still a good 4 months left before the end of the season, and we kind of just need to see what happens, where the wind blows, and we go from there. I think, based on the difficulties that we faced in Algeria, I don't necessarily think it would be healthy for him to go back.
But that's wild though to think, like when you say difficulties, I mean this CRB wanted this guy high low.
Yeah, they did.
You know, they hunted, fair enough.
That's the other thing about football. Football is very similar to life in that you can give something your all, literally. But if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be, you know. And I know for a fact that the coach that signed Kanyisa, when we went, we did the medicals, the preseason camp and everything else, he was very thankful for actually getting the deal done because he was like, I love this kid, I want this kid. And the truth is, Kanyisa played, 42 games?
A lot.
Yeah.
Champions League.
He was a
Algerian
starter.
Premier League.
He was a starter. There was no question about it. Kanyisa was loved in Algiers. There's no question about it. And then there's a change in regime. Like many things in life, there are changes and changes that we can't control, and because it's a change that I do believe Kanyisa couldn't control, it didn't then work in his favor. And it was quite surprising to me personally, because Siad was also a coach that I know liked Kanyisa when he was at TS Galaxy and Kanyisa was playing for Cape Town City, 100%. So you look at the circumstances surrounding it, a couple of things that have happened, and there's certain things that you just can't talk about because you
say you can't talk about, because I was about to ask whether there was a fallout that we were not privy to, because it's very strange fallout. That a coach with a background of coaching in the domestic Betway Premiership for so long, has seen Kanyisa banging goals for Cape Town City, gets to Algeria, finds him there as the main man, and decides, no, he's not good enough. Doesn't even register him as part of the squad. I'm not even talking about like sitting him on the bench. He doesn't register him in the squad at all for the season.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It was a difficult couple of weeks leading up to the Chiefs loan. It was a very difficult couple of weeks. And besides saying thank God for the fact that we got the loan done, I have my theories about what happened. But it's just, like I say, something I can't put out publicly. And it's also just one of those things, when things don't work out, they don't work out. You kind of just pick up your stuff. You take your bags and you're like, okay, cool. I tried, and you walk away, But that's the unfortunate reality of football.
Very unfortunate, but he gets a soft landing by going to Chiefs. I mean,
yeah.
He took some heavy blows in Algeria, but very soft landing, gets to also play for his boyhood team, where his father also made a name for himself.
Sure. Soft landing in that I must take a moment and thank the sporting director, because I picked up the phone and I said to him, look, I find myself in a predicament. Kaiser Jr. I find myself in a predicament. And he had a chat with Dr. Mutaung, said, look, I'll get back to you. And when they got back to me, it was positive. We actually tried to do the loan deal before the Algerian window closed, and that didn't work out for reasons that I can't put out in public. But then...
Hey, there's a lot you can't put out in public. Who is exciting Algeria?
Yeah, I know, Algeria was tough. Algeria was tough. Algeria had me I picked up the phone and I was just like, I need help. I called a power that be in my life, and I was just like, I really need you to help me. I'm in a bit of a situation, And the man always comes through for me, like he does since I was a kid. So he came through for me, and we managed to sort it out. And somehow it was God's grace that was just like, okay, it's actually here 2 days before the window closed on this side. Go. There's nothing else we can do. And that's how the deal was done, But it wasn't easy, and I think that it's exactly that. Kanyisa goes from playing 42 games, scoring however many goals, being a massive part of the team, to completely not being registered by a new coach that comes in. And when that happens, you look at the circumstances and you look at the situation, and you're like, there's nothing else we can do but leave, And at the same time, you have to also appease your leaving party, and that was I think the slight difficulty. But once again, a massive thank you to Kaiser Jr. for pulling through and just saying, okay, cool, let's rescue the situation as best as we could, and it worked out well.
Okay, so we'll hit pause on that one, because as you say, the loan deal, a few months to go, and by the next couple of months we'll know whether he
stays.
Probably unlikely, but we'll see. I see no reason why Chiefs wouldn't try to hold on to him. But let's fast forward now to this window that just passed now.
Okay.
Mbokazi. How easy, how difficult was it to do that deal? The numbers being thrown around is 52 million rands. That's a big payday for Pirates. That's a big payday for the player. And I'm sure that's a big payday for the agency as well.
Mbokazi, there's so much to say about this deal.
Yeah.
And at the same time, there's just also so much to not say, because you also have to tread very carefully with a lot of things that happened in and around the deal. How easy was the deal? Not easy at all. How did the deal come about? The deal was very close to being done last window. Very close. Like fingertip close to being done.
So he could have left. I mean, this guy, actually, this season was
his first start.
First full season.
Yeah.
Because he was promoted by Jose Ribeiro.
Yeah. Played his first game in the
middle middle, and played his
after all these injuries. Yeah.
Are you telling me that February, March, April, May, we don't count June and July because there's really no football.
Yeah.
4 months of action, this guy had already convinced Chicago Fire to sign him as an under-22 initiative. Or
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was just the agreement in terms of finances. That was it. I
bet 52 million takes a long time to negotiate.
No, it actually didn't. It really didn't. And I don't think that was the difficulty of the deal. The difficulty of the deal for me was before we get to club, this is all good and well, but the reality is at the time I'm having conversations, he hasn't turned 20 yet, he's 19, right? And my first concern is he can't cook. So this is a brilliant offer. Thank you very much. This is great, lovely to meet everybody, because I had interviews and meetings and everything else. But before we get to club, my concern was his life.
Yeah.
You know, he can't drive. So because he can't drive, he has to be taught how to drive, which was something that we were doing on this side of the world.
I can relate. When I was 20, I couldn't cook, I couldn't drive.
You understand, but those life skills have to be taught and imparted. And it was something that was my first concern. Outside of how much money he's going to make, how much money Pirates is going to make, how much money the agency is going to make, my first concern was, how does he live life day to day? You know, and without...
Get a chef, get a chauffeur.
But that can't be on him. Okay. That can't be on him. That has to be. It has to be negotiated by me.
Okay.
You know, I can't.
Be out of his own pocket.
Yes.
To try find
I
his
can't
way
just
in America.
take you and just drop you in Chicago and say God bless and oh, everybody got paid. No.
Yeah.
You know, I need
That's
to know.
Not the kind of agency you are.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Before we got to the club, the most important thing for me was, how does he do life? You know, how far do we go with this life thing in terms of bringing him to you, and what is the next step after bringing him to you? It's not, I'm going to take him to Chicago Fire and by the grace of God hope no, we've already planned steps, we've already put things in place.
Yeah.
And that's exactly why, even before you have conversations with the club about it, you have conversations with the player. And you say, look, I've been approached, and this is the approach that I've received. This is this, that does that does that. This is the path, this is the roadmap. And these are the steps that I think we would be able to take in being able to make sure that we get you from here to there. Do you understand? Yeah. And that's ultimately what we did. For me, the first and most important thing was knowing that he would have 3 to 4 meals a day, basically. Was knowing that he could get to training. Yes. Was knowing that he will be housed. The house that he has Wi-Fi, you know, and. So ultimately, just putting it all together and finding him a player care manager, finding somebody who ultimately looks after Mbokazi in Chicago.
So did you have to really fight hard to negotiate those sort of things, given that in the MLS they have an entire program for under-22 initiative? You'd think that they've got those things on lock, because they are essentially signing, when you're an under-22 initiative, you're not necessarily a kid, but it depends on your background.
But you're not a grown adult as well.
You're not a grown adult as well. You're not a fully grown adult as well to be dropped in the middle of Chicago and be a rabbit in headlights.
Sure. It wasn't difficult, right? But the U22 initiative is one thing. Take that away from what the institution has for whoever it has it for. My focus is my client.
Yeah.
You could have 10 people or 10 footballers that are looked after. That's great. Like, you know, my mother always has this thing. If your friends jump in the fire, you tell me to jump in the fire. No, your focus is you. Yeah. And that was my focus. My focus was Mbokazi. The fact that the club does A, B, C, D, E, F, G for everybody else, well done, congratulations. Here's what are you doing here? Here's what you are doing. Here's my concern here. Yeah. And that for me was very important. You know, that was the first conversation. Even before we discussed personal terms, my first conversation was, he can't cook. He cannot cook. I need to make sure that he has a basic 3 meals a day. How are you going to do that? You know? And I know for a fact, one of the people...
And nutrition also is important.
It's important.
Key element to him being an athlete. Yeah.
You know? And somebody, in one of the meetings, somebody was like, is that the first thing you're going to talk to us about? I was like, yes. It is definitely the first thing I'm going to talk to you about, because I need to know that he can do life every day. I need to know that he has gone to bed and he's eaten, he's got a roof over his head, he is well looked after. Because if that's not something that you're going to do, I'll leave it alone. He can stay here. If he stays here, I know where he is. I know where the clubhouse is. I know how to get there. I know where to find him when I'm looking for him. All of that, I can do all of that. Yeah. And if you can't do that, then leave it alone. Yeah. And that was the first thing for me, right? So we iron all of that out. Great. Tick, 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 tick the boxes. Have a conversation with Mbokazi. I say to him, look, this is it, right? But this is not the first conversation I'm having with Mbokazi. Because the other thing about it, and this is where I feel the media is very damaging, is the hype.
Okay.
You're
coming for us now.
No, I am. Okay. It's for, with all due respect, it's a story for you guys. You know, it's a story for you guys. But it's somebody's livelihood today, okay. You know? There's a publication that puts out a story on a player who's going to get their contract terminated, for example. That's the first thing that you put out. True or not, right? It's something that you put out without coming, hi, Basia, how are you? Can we? No. But you don't realize how many people that person feeds. So when you drop something like that, it doesn't just affect the individual. It affects everybody else in that line, you know, and within their chain. So the media creates all this hype, and it's been done now, you know. Mbokazi had a brilliant tournament. AFCON played well against Mo Salah. He was, like, you can take Mo out of Mbokazi's pocket, no disrespect. Yeah. But the reality is you can.
For me, he was arguably the best player in the Bafana squad out of all those 4 games. Yeah.
Perfect. Where's your offer from Europe? I'm asking.
Well, I mean, in fairness now, post-AFCON, it's too late, because by the time he went to AFCON...
No, that doesn't matter.
He was already going to Chicago Fire.
Nah, that doesn't matter, Mazola. Yeah. You know, are you telling me that because a Ferrari belongs to somebody, right, and you have the means to buy that Ferrari, that you wouldn't go and approach a person and say, hi, how are you? I know you just bought that Ferrari, but I'm very keen to know whether you'd be willing to sell me that Ferrari if we did the following things. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you.
But then there's this hype of he deserves to play in Europe. No one's saying he doesn't deserve to play in Europe. There's no question about the fact that Mbokazi is generational talent. There's no question about it. But give me the offer. Show it to me. And the other thing that we also need to start doing, and I'm going for me, my agents and people that work alongside me, is we need to start realizing we're a part of the ecosystem. And in being a part of the ecosystem, we have to give back. So I go and I take a player from a club for £350,000, £400,000, however much, for anything less than what fair value might be. And I take that player and I put him in another league. How much money do I expect you to get, right? To take another player from Hluhluwe, from Mpangeni, from what? Kailicha, from any Free State. Do you understand what I'm saying? How do I expect you to then fetch the next player if I am part of an ecosystem that feeds an outside source a lot better than I feed my own home source.
Hey, unshapile. Hey, I will pity happy.
The basics are,
okay,
as an agent, I have a lot of control in the deals that we do. If I am the person that undercuts the football clubs, how do I expect the football clubs to put out more money to find unearthed talent? How do I do that? Yeah. How do I say to a chairman at Richards Bay, chairman, player lakho, hey, such a nice player, but here's 350,000 euros. That is not commensurate to what these people, club owners put their own money in, day out.
Yeah.
And we're a part of the ecosystem.
For sure.
So we definitely need to find a way to give back, to ensure that this ecosystem continues past me, you know, especially past the next person or the next generation of agents. Because if we keep taking at the price or at the cost of, no, I'm going to take this player for whatever small amount, put this player there, take him to Europe or wherever it is that I feel he can go, and then hope that you guys make enough money. Oh, by the way, next month I'm knocking on your door to say, please pay me my procurement for the other player that's left here. But I'm the reason that you've slightly been undercut on a transaction. Because the truth is, some of the deals that are done are deals that could be done at the value of clubs in the clubs in South Africa can afford. You know? You want to buy a player that is as brilliant as whoever he is. And you want to, okay, no, cool, he's going to Europe for 6, 7, 8 million. Yeah. The cheaper can spend 8 million, no disrespect, Chairman. And Chairman knows I love him, he's my guy. But he's got the ability to say, you know, this is something that I can do. I can buy this player. So why do we not put ourselves in a position as agents that says, look, guys, this is how much the player is worth, right? We might also not agree. Let's be fair. Some clubs might not want, or they might want crazy figures. But there's a balance somewhere in there. And when you find that balance, it's putting money back into our ecosystem, you know, allowing our ecosystem to grow, allowing our ecosystem to become bigger. And then eventually knowing that clubs can spend money on scouting players even further than their own surrounds, and then it gives other kids the opportunity to be able to excel, you know?
I hear you.
But we're like, let me take 350 pounds and send you to there. And yeah, well done. And then tomorrow I'm going to say, Mazola, don't forget, you have to pay me for the other player. No, how? It's
a nice, well, you'll determine whether it's a nice segue into the conversation around comments made by Coach Hugo Broos. Because you say the media hype, whatever. I get you in general, but in this instance, when it relates to TLB, it's not the media, it's the coach who said this player should be playing in Europe. And by those comments, ended up calling you naive for doing the deal.
A little woman.
A naive woman. Statements whether, I don't know, I remember he had a little paper making an apology, but I'm not sure if the apology was directed at you or the apology was directed at him blasting the player for his late arrival in camp and sort of trying to put that into context because he was taking a lot of flack on social media for how he dealt with the situation or the words that he used.
Yeah.
But when it relates to you, you know, those who are watching the show, listening, in the comments below, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember an apology to you. But, you know, two things here. I know I've said a mouthful, but two things here. One, it's the coach who said the player should be playing in Europe. And I'd like to hear your answer to that, because you are saying to me now, but where's the European offer? You know, were there European offers at all before MLS, after the deal was done, before AFCON, after AFCON was done? You make the example of a Ferrari. Did someone come say, yo, I saw that Ferrari drive around at the AFCON with Mo Salah in its pocket. Can I have it? Because I can use it in my league in Europe. And then there's the issue where the coach says, you don't know what you're doing.
Ouch. Okay, I was trying not to generalize it. I didn't want to make this a Hugo versus Basia thing. I really didn't want to. But, okay, yes, Mbokazi deserves to play in Europe. There's no question about it. Were there offers before AFCON? Yes. Were the offers fair value? Definitely not. Were the offers commensurate to the value of the player? They were not. Personally, I don't think that the offers were fair. And I also just want to put it out there that in these offers being made in the manner that they are made, I think that we as South Africans, maybe as Africans as well, and it's also very, it's very close to that little skit that I was listening to Dr. criticismThe when he was being like that media guy and that interaction, but we'll get there. Offers after AFCON, I got a phone call for a loan deal, which didn't make sense, right? Once again,
this is Europe now.
Yeah, according to the person that called me. Once again, it's just some of these things just don't make sense, and even in the manner that they are presented in don't make sense. You know, yes, Mbokazi was already a Chicago Fire player. I had alerted Chicago to be like, hi, screenshot, here's the number, I got a call from this number, this is the message, this is it, you know, this is the position.
Also, you're saying this call came during the AFCON, after the AFCON, or, well, in context, when the deal was done with Chicago?
The deal was already done to Chicago.
Yeah.
So it wasn't going to be a conversation with Pirates, it was going to be a conversation with Chicago.
Okay.
That was done. But it also just didn't make sense. It was, for me personally, a transaction where it was like, we would like to loan the player.
So the call came in and they're asking, can you speak to Chicago Fire to loan us the player?
From an agent.
Okay.
Not from a club.
Yeah, from an agent who...
From an agent who
supposedly has a mandate.
That has a mandate from a club in Europe and is not willing to give me the club's name, is not willing to give me the geographical distance from where it's Chicago, it's nothing. It's, would you be willing to do a loan? And I said, look, I will pass the details on, right, so that we can, for the purposes of transparency, don't turn around and say, but I asked her and she didn't want to know. For the purposes of transparency, this is it, this is, and I will pass it on, you know? And then it was like, oh, okay, but I want you to do it. No. It's not about wanting me to do it. If you want me to do it, you'll give me all the information that I need. You're setting me up for failure. You're not telling me who the club is. You're not telling me where in Europe this club is. You're not telling me what division in Europe this club plays.
Hey, sounds bonkers, this one.
Exactly. Yeah. So you're doing all of these fancy things that you claim to be doing, you know, and well done on everything that you've done, but can we loan the player? Look, you're not willing to give me the information. Maybe you'll give the information to the powers that be, so I will pass on the details. Let's go from there, you know? And once again, it's the same thing that happened with Khanyisa, is you're trying to jump on a bandwagon. You're genuinely trying to jump on a bandwagon. You're not putting yourself out there earnestly to say, hi, Basia, how are you? I'm a European agent. You might not want to tell me the club, but at least tell me the division the club plays in. At least tell me where the club is, in which country the club is, right? And say, these are the opportunities. This is what presents itself, let's go. You can't want me to do a deal and negotiate anything with you if you're not even willing to tell me like you're not telling me anything. You're not saying anything, you're not giving me anything. So what do you want me to go on, you know? And that then is my answer to you about post-AFCON. There was nothing else. Well, maybe it didn't come to me. That's also the other thing that's starting to happen a lot, is agents are gatekeeping, right? And kudos to them for the fact that they've made really great friends with sporting directors, club owners, this, that, and the other. But it's like, so because I know Mazola, I'm going to go to this person and say, oh, Mazola wants 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but actually I can't tell you Mazola, I can't tell you this, I can't. So trust me as Basia to say, I want your player, give me your player. I've managed this player. I found this player, we made hard work together, and this then is your approach. I'm trying to understand where do you expect us to go with this? So that's my answer to your before, middle, after. Sure. Yeah. What else?
Hugo.
I'm trying not to make this a Basia versus Hugo.
No, it's not a Basia versus Hugo. I'm trying to gauge your mindset, the player's mindset, because I mean, essentially,
I don't want to speak for Mbokazi, but let me give it to you.
But you would have had a conversation with Mbokazi about, do you know that if you're going to the MLS, because the coaches, the coach's feelings about the MLS is public knowledge.
Yes.
Even before TLB signed, everybody knows that he doesn't rate the MLS.
Sure.
So I would imagine, as the agent, you said you do know that you do risk not going to a World, because I think by then AFCON was a certainty. It's a non-starter.
Sure.
But the World Cup, you do know that you are risking going to the World Cup by doing this deal, and which the coach Kana has alluded to that by saying this is a mistake. He should have gone to Europe, and the agent was naive.
No, he said I'm not clever.
The agent is not
there's a lot, guys. Okay, I'm trying to be as politically correct as my dad would want me to be.
He wasn't politically correct when he was making his remarks.
Look, for me, I can tell you that there's no question about the fact that it was sexist. I'm not going to speak on behalf of Mbokazi. That he can do on his own. Yes, we had a conversation. We had a conversation even before Mbokazi signed. And Mbokazi is confident that his playing ability will still keep him in the squad, all right? Alongside many people currently, we might not see Mbokazi in the squad, but that's Hugo's reality. The basics of life, my mother says this all the time, she who pays the piper plays the tune, you know? And Hugo currently can make his decisions the way he does, doing what he wants to do the way he does, selecting the players he wants to the way he does. And there's very little that many of us can do. It doesn't matter how well Mbokazi plays in the next 4 months. It really doesn't. Because he's made his dislike for the league known, which I think is very sad, you know? But at the same time, once again, he's the piper, he plays the tune, let him do it. What do I think about Hugo and his comments? I'm saddened by them. I must be very honest with you. And yes, I didn't note any kind of apology that came from Hugo. With all due respect, I think more than anything else, he took to the stage with, like you say, a placard or whatever it was, a statement. And he then has this apology that he says or claims for it to be an apology, but makes it about him and his family, you know, and what they've endured. I don't think for a second he's thought about what I endured. Right? And everything else. I mean, all the social media comments, the people that were in my inbox and everything else. I had to suck that up. I had to take it, you know? But anyway, that's Hugo and what he said. The one thing I do want to say is Hugo has done so well for us as a country. There's no question about it, right? But I just don't believe that in him doing as well as he has done allows him to be disrespectful in all the facets that he's been disrespectful. Whether it's to me, whether it's to Mbokazi, whether it's to Oscar Rabo, whether it's to Kaizer Chiefs, whether it's to Orlando Pirates. As South Africans, yes, we're grateful for how well Hugo has worked and how much he's done, you know? And great, you're like really great. There's no question about it. But I don't think that in doing as well as he's done, that he has to lambast the rest of us. Like, it's all good and you have your opinions, because we all have our opinions.
Of course,
we have conversations in corners, and we talk about whatever we want to talk about. It's great. But when you are on a public platform, to sit there in front of all the media and all the journalists and say, don't quote me, but MLS 2 is an absolute lie. When we did the deal to the MLS, there's no question about MLS 2. So I don't understand why he would even think that.
Oh, that he said,
yes.
His sources have told him that he's not even going to be a
first-team player. There's absolutely no truth to it, you know? And I know for a fact that the coach of Chicago Fire has tried to reach out to Hugo, right? And had tried to, like, maybe let me set the record straight. You can hear it from me. This is the plan that we have for the player. This is what we want to do. I don't think that conversation was heated, I must be honest. But that's, once again, it's not a Basia conversation to have. It's really not.
You've played your part.
I've done what I needed to do.
Happy from a management point of view, yeah.
And I think that's the most important thing. We were coming back from Chicago, and we had just landed. We'd just landed back in South Africa, walking through customs and everything else, trying to stamp our passports at border control. And there were these two guys that said, hey, we saw this thing about you leaving and you're going to the MLS. We really hope you're not going there because it's a league that you shouldn't be going to. So at the age of 20, you're making a life-changing decision for you and your family. And now 60 million South Africans have the ability to weigh in on it and tell you what to do. Where you work and you're a boiler maker or you fix cars or whatever it is that you do, you don't wait for the ratification of 60 million South Africans. Why does he have to do that for you? That for me is the most important thing. Because right now, we also don't realize and understand that we also don't know, let me just put out there basically, we don't know people's lives. We don't know where people come from for them to make the decisions that they make, you know? And that's the most important thing is you have to live day to day making the decisions that you do, trying to feed your family and making sure that you break generational curses and you create wealth for your family so that at any point in time, we could move from Hluhluwe and go and live in KZN, in Durban, in wherever we want to live. How are you going to make that decision when I have to please Mazola and 60 million other people? It's impossible. So I understand the fact that footballers have to make decisions that pertain to their footballing career right there and then. And it's also so important for people to start just respecting that. Because nobody turns around and tells you what job to take. Nobody turns around and says, no, don't take that promotion. Leave that promotion.
No, some do, but I don't listen.
Besides that, because you're a public figure, right? But I'm saying people that are not public figures.
Yeah.
You know, people that go to work, opalama taxi, and now you found yourself in a position where you actually can get a job, and this job you can see will give you enough money to buy a car. You are going to wait for 60 million people to tell you, do it, don't do it. No, guys, come on. You know? And that's where I feel it's not okay, you know? Like, let's also learn to respect people's decisions and the decisions that they make. You can't turn around and in a line tell somebody, I hope you're not going to do that. Excuse me, who are you? Like, why would you do something like that? Like, I don't tell you what to do, you know? And the worst part about it is these people worked at the airport. You are working at the airport, you are about to stamp my passport, and you want to tell me what to do. Come on, guys, don't be like that, you know? No.
So I hear you from the explanation that you just made, but I'm sure you and I would both agree that at some level, as the head coach of a national team, he does have the right to weigh in on the players' futures because he is the national team coach.
Why?
Not to say, I think the part, maybe to some degree, his dislike of a certain league affects obviously his opinion. But it could have been any league, whether good or bad. The coach of a national team, you know, it's just that in this instance, he was negative, right? You disagree. I mean, if, let's say, TLB went to Europe as he wants, you know, and he would have still been in a position to say, great move. He's going to Club Brugge. You know, I know the sporting director there. I know what they do. They're probably gonna do 1, 2, 3 for him, and he will be in my squad every day of the week. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying. So I'm trying to say, national team coaches, unless you disagree, national team coaches, it is their job to worry about where the players are going to end up.
I disagree. You're going to select me whether you're selecting me based on my ability. You're not selecting me based on the fact that
ability
I play
in game time.
Great, but you're not selecting me on the fact that Gimaka Ikram Reynolds versus Gimaka Lionel Messi. You are going to select me based on my ability. Whether Gimaka na le player ko Stellenbosch or whether Gimaka na le player ko FC Dallas, you are going to select me, no? You are selecting me based on what I'm doing. It can't be that because I played for Pirates, this is the reason you selected me because you are watching me do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm going to play for Chicago Fire. If I do the exact same thing at 2 separate clubs, I do the exact same thing. Tomorrow, no disrespect, let's say Mbokazi becomes the captain of Chicago Fire. So...
Well, I mean, just as a disclaimer, I rate the MLS. You know, I don't think he's made a mistake. You know, I think there are a lot of other players there. Olo Timakanya, for instance, is probably a player that we should be seeing more regularly in our national team because he's playing at a higher level. MLS, PSL, you know, the gap is evident. You know, so obviously the coach has his reasons. All I'm saying is that a national team coach, yes, selects on ability, but at the same time, or at the very least, must also select on the level at which you play. I mean, if I'm playing, I mean, an example is players who move from a TS Galaxy to a Kaizer Chiefs, Orlando Pirates, Mamelodi Sundowns.
But I have a problem with that. It's the exact same player.
You might have a problem with it, but
why can't you select the player because he plays for cheaper? Richards Bay, TS Galaxy. Why do you only want to turn around and select the player because he plays for Pirates and Sundowns? So the player moves. Guys, the player is not vastly different. Let's be fair. The player is not amazingly, all of a sudden you were chalk and now tomorrow you are cheese. You're not, you know. You are a Puso Ditejane that played for TS Galaxy, now a Puso Ditejane that plays for Pirates. Why could you not get selected at Galaxy? Maybe you were Yanela Mbutuma that got selected at Richards Bay. You got selected at Richards Bay, you know? So why are we turning around and making national team selections of players based on the clubs that they play for? Why are we doing that?
Well, I wasn't necessarily saying the clubs. I'm just saying
or
that
levels.
I think that this is why Bafana have fallen short at the AFCON. The whole it was a romantic story in the past about 98% of our players play in the local league, but we were shown off, or you know, we found it difficult at the AFCON recently because the majority of the players that we faced were playing at a higher level. Whether that higher level is Europe or MLS or whatever place where, in comparison, the PSL is inferior to that league.
So I have a bad theory, and I had this conversation with my dad. We were watching the games, and when you don't focus on the main thing, when you don't make the main thing, you lose it, right? And I feel that was a big part of our lack of performance. Let me call it that. You know, it's and once again, it's about. You lambast CAF for training facility, this, that, and then CAF gives you a response to say, oh, but hold on, these are the reasons for the following things. Just like focus on what you have to focus on, you know? And once you make the main thing, everything else that comes around and becomes a distraction, you don't allow it to distract you. But that's the reality. And that's exactly the same thing that happened to all the teams that played in AFCON, you know? And Senegal just focused on it. Kudos to Sadio Mane for being the greatest leader in football right now, for me, like on the pitch. Where you go and you know, there's a penalty, guys, let's go back. They're going to score the penalty. We're going to lose. We clap hands for them, well done. But that's the reality. Do you understand what I'm saying, Mazola? It was chips against the wall for everybody. It wasn't just chips against the wall for us as South Africa. It was like, and the fact that everybody had to take it, they took it. You know, and some people complained publicly and some people didn't complain publicly because your focus was exactly what your focus had to be. I'm here to play football. Let me get that done and do it. Am I making sense? And this is why I say to you, I don't want to make it seem like a Basia versus Hugo and these were the things that were done wrong. No, I don't want to make it seem like that. But it was so unfortunate that AFCON had the difficulties that it had, you know, but it wasn't just us. It wasn't just us that faced those difficulties.
Fair enough.
It was everybody else that faced those difficulties, you know? And somehow Senegal was triumphant. And I just believe that it was because the focus was exactly that. We're here to play the tournament with all of its difficulties. Let's go.
I hear you. I mean, I have a different opinion, but anyway,
sure.
In this instance, my opinion isn't really that much of a... It's much of a muchness, let me put it like that. But in wrapping up, I want to say, so TLB, comfortable in his skin, comfortable in the decision that he's made. Essentially, let's see how it goes with regards to the World Cup, because we all know the feelings of the coach, but you know, the guy has, in consultation with you, the family, Orlando Pirates, Chicago Fire, happy to start a new chapter in America.
Yes, I mean, it's a life-changing opportunity. It really is. It's extremely life-changing.
Bank, eh?
But you also can't sit there holding on to something and saying, oh, my coach says I must go to Europe. I'm holding on, and you're waiting for this.
By the way, I think you might have mentioned it. Was it with Andile? You threw around a figure, which you said was insulting. What was that figure? Prior to MLS, I think, or in the middle of MLS negotiations from Europe.
Yeah, it was. I can't remember, but it was a bad figure. It was money that could have been afforded by a club, any other club within the PSL.
Yeah.
It was very minimal. There's no question about it. It wasn't even 5.
It wasn't even 5 million.
Let's not even go there.
For a TLV.
But the thing is, and once again, I experienced the same thing with Kanyisa, where it was said, why would I have to pay that much money for an African? Yeah. And unfortunately, it happens. There are parts of Africa that allow players to move into Europe for less money. But they don't come from leagues as affluent as ours. You know, take your hat off to what the likes of Dr. Ivan Khoza have done for us, and the generations of people that get paid money, that families are fed and homes have lights on and food, because that's exactly what they've done. They've created something, they've created a product. And once again, I'll say it, as agents, we also have to be able to put back into that product for this product to continue to grow, for it to be sustainable. You know, if we keep chipping away at the product itself, how much sustainability do we expect as people as a whole, even people that buy fake tickets? That's also the concept of it, is you are chipping away at something that has been built for all of us to flourish on. Do you understand?
I get you.
So yes, TLB, happy, life-changing. It's all good, it's well, you know, because there was never a point in time where, not even a gun, not even persuasion, the question was, before I even went and did anything else, would you be happy if this was the team that you played for? And he was like, let's have a conversation about it. We chatted. We went through it. There was they sent me a presentation, like 60 pages on who Chicago Fire is, where the coach comes from, like everything, what the plans are. And I shared it with him and I said, look at this is what they say. And for him, it was he said to me, Yebo mama ngicela uhamba. And I was like, okay, cool. Let me do what needs to be done to make sure that we can get you there if that's the case. And we do that. And ultimately, it's his decision. You know, if he didn't want to go, he wouldn't have gone. There was nobody that said, no, hamba mfana, hamba mfana. I can tell you, it was harder to convince Pirates to let him go now. It was harder. It was just one of those things where it was like, Pasha, but what are you doing? But no, Pasha. And we had conversations. We sat down, the three of us, myself, Mbokazi, and Chairman Mbumi. And it was just, are you doing this? Are you sure you're doing this? Is this something you want to do? Yeah, sure. Good. Okay, that's fine. If this is how you want it to go, you have our blessing. Let's make it work. And we go from there, you know?
Okay, fair enough. Lastly, anything we can expect? I know you said you worked on some things. You won't reveal too much. What QT Sport cooking for the next couple of weeks as we shut this interview down?
Weeks, nothing. It's closed. The window's closed. Like, take a breath, breathe a little, and then we find ourselves. The window's always got new opportunities, but that happens as and when the window opens, you know. Right now, just finishing off a couple of renewals, possibilities of players extending contracts where they currently are, and just working with what we currently have, moving on to the next one and seeing it from there.
That's it. No names, nothing.
Good names. Names. What names do you want?
They won't watch.
That's okay. That's up to them. It's got nothing to do with us. No. Yeah. Nah, there are some movements, slightly exciting movements. I think the league is also looking at a lot more younger players. So we also just have to find a shift and find a way in and around making it work. That does obviously leave you with the question of what happens to older players.
Yeah.
But somewhere, somehow, it just balances itself out somehow, yeah.
Okay, Basia Michaels, Sigourney, thank you so much for your time and, you know, addressing the Hugo Broos issue. in your best ability, how you felt comfortable, because I think it had been a burning issue for quite some time, and I'm glad you did it here with us on Behind the Book with Super Jenny.
Let's see what it becomes. It's going to be some more tweets and more breaking news and more political parties. And,
I don't want to be in a statement involving political parties, please.
Yeah, hey man, I don't know. Like it was, I must just say it was quite sad. You know, I think the apology would have been better if it was genuine. I have to put that out there. The same, and for me, the other thing about it is, I got an apology from the minister. Like Minister Gates and McKenzie picked up the phone and called me and said, "Hi, how are you? How do you feel about this? I'm so sorry that this has happened to you." That's genuine. It wasn't made a noise about. It didn't have to be public. It didn't, because the other thing is I don't know Hugo. I think that's the saddest part for me, is I don't know him. I've never met him. I've never had a conversation with him. He doesn't know me. You know, I think my degrees would speak about my cleverness and all of that. But like you can't say certain things and think that it's okay to say it. You know, and then the media laugh. But how you guys laugh in the interviews when he says those kinds of things, and it's sad. And then you want to ask me for a scoop after that.
Who, me?
The media people. You want to say something, like it's sad, man.
You are throwing people under the bus now.
No, I'm just saying, it's guys, like as South Africans, we also have to be proud of ourselves and proud of our own, you know. And certain things must also just be nipped in the butt. When it's wrong, and you just have to say, wait, what you're doing is not okay. But
I'll tell you what was okay though.
Yeah.
This interview.
Well.
Thank you.